Yeah, it's recorded. So we learned about collection in the last session. So today we'll be going through exception handling. So in the previous session somewhere must have found exception, right? Few exception we found.
Mm-hmm.
At what place? What is the exception?
I think somewhere I remember null point exception.
Right. Null point exception. Also in arrays we're getting some exception. What is that?
That oops. Is that oops one?
Array index out of bounds,
Right.
right? So we'll do collection here. Take a main method here. Today you're a bit late today. What happened?
I'm sorry. So you're asking me
Yeah. Yes.
logging session. I'm late.
Are you late or did I wasn't able to find you at
No,
the time?
I was early, like 10 minutes ago. I logged in.
Okay, maybe it is taking time to patch up. Fine.
Yeah, I know that. So I was like logging in early. But I was like, I know I just came and just opened up. I just came home from work.
Okay. Fine. So let's take an example like we discussed about. I'll take another method here. I'll take public void m2 m1. That one I'll just say in m1. Okay. I'll create another method called as public void m2. This is out in m2. Sorry for the background noise. I don't know what's happening. M3. So can I call M1 from here directly from main method? Or or how do I call? Sorry. Can I call M1 directly from main method?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Can I call M1 directly from main method?
Mm, no,
Why no?
because M1 isn't in that class, right?
Oh, what are you talking about? M1, main, M2, M3 are all in the same class.
Right.
So are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Then why will I not be able to call directly M1 from inside main method?
No idea, I'm not getting it.
M1 is non-static, main is static. We cannot call a non-static method from a static method.
Oh, right. Okay.
Then how do I call it? I cannot call directly. How do I call it? I'll create an object. Please keep this in your mind.
Okay.
And if I call et dot m1, can I call m2 directly from m1?
Yeah, because they both are non-static.
Okay, I'll call m3 from here. Now, if you can tell me the output if I run this one, then I understand that you understood everything. What will the output if I run this one? There is three sys out statement. There will be three output. What will be the output? First one, second one, third one. Please tell me. Yes.
First one will be in M1.
Okay. Then yes.
Then it will be in M2, in M3.
okay. Tell me the flow. From line number 7, the control will go to which method?
It will go to the M1 method.
Okay. Then line number 10. It's go to line number 10.
Then it says to print in M1.
I mean, in line number 11, it says print M1. So it will print M1. Correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Then line number 12. In line number 12, what will happen?
It goes to M2 method.
This will go to M2 method. It means line number 15. Then line number 16. Then what will happen?
If it goes to line number 6, oh, it will go to M3 method.
Then which line it will come to?
In M3. Okay, so in M1, in M3, in M2. Okay.
Getting the point why?
Yeah, now makes sense.
Okay. So I'll get exception here. I'll write here s equals to null. Let s dot length. So if I run this one, what will be the output?
It will be a null exception because
It will be null pointer exception. Okay, but will it print in M1, M2, and in M3 anything it will print, or all the thing it will print, or what it will print? Let's go from line by line. How to go from line by line? There's debugging. You know debugging? If you want to debug, you need to come to line number 4 and double click here. You'll get a debug point.
okay.
Okay, right click here. Do debug as Java application. Will give you this perspective. You click on remember my decision. Click on yes. It will change your new perspective. The debug perspective.
Oh, okay.
Then upon here you see F6. Type over. It will come to the next line. But if you want to go inside the method, you have to go to this one. Step into. I want to go inside M1, right? Current line is a method. If it's line 07 is a method.
Okay.
If you click on here, it will go inside the method. There is F5 and F6.
Okay.
F6 will come to the next line. F5 will, if the current line is a method, it will go inside the method.
Okay.
Okay. Then what should I press? F5 or F6?
Go into the method.
I want to come to the next line. What should I press?
F6.
F6. So in M1 is printed. Right? In the console. Then I want to go inside the method. F5 or F6?
F5.
F5. Okay. Then I want to go inside this method again. Then press F5. Okay. I want to come to the next line. F6. Again F6. And again F6. And again I want to come to the s dot length. I don't want to do the length method of the string because length is from the string class, right? I don't want to go inside, so I'll step over. But I cut into exception. So I want to end this one, resume. You can click on this one, it will end the program. It will end the program and it will show me like this one. In M1, in M3, and null pointer exception. Any question? Please ask.
Yeah, how will I know, like, if I get this exception, based on the line number, I know there is the exception in M3 because it shows in everywhere the exception is.
It is called a stack trace. It will tell you from where it started. It started from main method, line number 7. Started from where? Here. Then it went to line number 12, M1. Here. Then it went to line number 16, M3. Here.
Okay,
Then it went to line number 23, M3. Here. Here exception arised.
okay. So it shows where it started.
Correct. From where it
From
started till what point it went, and we got the exception.
okay,
It's called as what? Stack trace.
stack trace. Okay.
Okay. But in M2 is not printed. In M2 is printed
Yes. Oh no, it's not printed. Only M3.
because it terminated abruptly.
Okay.
Okay. So when an exception arises, it will terminate abruptly. But if you don't want abrupt termination, we can handle this exception.
Okay.
Okay, let's see how to do that. It's another one. What do you say? Can please I'll read this out. In Java, exception is an event that disrupts the normal flow of program. It is object which is thrown at runtime. What do you say? Exception. What exception? It is an event that disrupts normal flow of the program. It has disrupt normal flow. That's why M2 is not printed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it is an object thrown at runtime. Only when you execute or when you run the program, then only it will be it will occur.
Okay.
Next, exception handling is to define alternative way to continue the rest of the program normally whenever exception arises. Okay, that is what we're going to find out. Next thing is, if exception is not handled properly, JVM terminates the program abruptly. If an exception arises, the method in which it is raised is responsible to create exception object by including the following: name of the exception, description of the exception, and location of the exception, or stack trace. We found all the three things. Correct?
Name of the exception. Okay.
Name, description, and location. Here there is no description for this one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this is null. Now we'll discuss about string here. Did I discuss about string, that empty string and all? Did I discuss? Like string s1 equals to empty.
Yes.
I discussed about it, right?
Right. Yeah. Null is different from empty string. Yeah. We have discussed this.
Sure. So if this kind of situation happens, how do we handle it? Okay. To handle this one, we'll be using here. I'll write here sys out. M3 completed. Okay. Now if I run this one, what will be the output? Same in M1, in M2, sorry, in M1, then in M3, then
Uh,
same, null pointer exception.
have a null point exception here.
Yeah, we're gonna get it again. We're gonna get the same output.
Yeah.
Now, if this happens, we can handle it using try and catch. We would try here and give your catch. We do need to write exception object. Okay, then we can handle this one. Exception A, I'll write here e dot print stack trace. If I want to know exception arise or not, stack trace equal to run. So it should print M3 completed as well as in M2. See the output? Now tell me. Any question?
Why in M2 is printed again? We have an exception for M2, right? No.
Like we handled that exception, right? If we're handling it, the program will run smoothly. Yeah, tell me any question on this one, please?
Yeah, how will we know that when to write this try catch block of code?
We need to detect when there could be issue, then we'll write try catch within that.
So when we had this try catch, it will handle the exception and go to the next line of the code, or even that one also will be, because I see M3 completed and in M2 also is coming up.
Correct. If we handle it, it will run normally. Normal means as if exception doesn't happen. It will continue here and will go to here.
Okay.
If I do here, instead of null, if I do empty string here, what will be the output now?
There is no exception, right? If there is an empty string.
Correct. The output is going to be as it
In
was.
one in M3 and M2. Yeah.
Now I'll do here sys out.
Could
Yeah,
you tell me why this in M2 is coming up again? I mean, like, so if I go to 16 line, it goes to M3. So in M3 will come, is the output. And then it goes to in M2. Oh, in M3, there is M3 completed. Oh, okay. Now makes sense. Thank you.
now
Yeah.
tell me the output.
Oh, now we will have an exception for length, right?
Why would you have exception?
Length of an empty string,
0.
0. So it will be the same.
It will
Same.
print. It will print this one.
0, 0. Yeah, 0 is in the middle. Instead of M3 completed, it's 0.
Not instead. I mean along with.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now if I run this one, what will be the output? Be careful this time. In M1 then.
In M1, in M3, then 0.
Then
Then length calculated and M3 completed.
what about in M2? It will not come.
Yeah, M2 will become M2 will be after M3 completed, but I don't think system caught exception will be printed because it will be only if it catches the exception, right?
Correct. That's where we're right. So I'll put a null here. Then tell me the output.
Uh, if it is null,
Mm-hmm.
then there will be an exception.
And now what will be the output?
Caught like in M1, in M3,
Mm-hmm.
uh, length calculated, M3 completed in M2.
Please go over it again.
In M1, in M3,
Mm-hmm.
then there is an exception, but I think length calculator, it will still print the length calculated. Only the exception will be for the length. And then caught exception, M3 completed in M2.
Yeah. Just one point we missed here. If exception arises within try block, rest of the try block won't be executed. If it exception is coming here, then when because that's why we're using try catch. So
Right.
the one that you want to use the length calculator and all, that should not be within try block. Inside try block, we should only keep the what do you say, the statement which is most probably get into exception.
Okay.
So the output is going to be caught exception here and print stat trace, then M3 completed M2. We're not printing length calculator or the length.
Oh, okay.
Clear about the exception flow?
Yes.
Okay, next one. Uh, if you go to your office when the person who cleans the floor, while cleaning the floor, he will put a sign. He or she will put a sign. What will that sign will look like? I mean, what will be written on the sign?
Like wet floor or something like that.
Wet floor. Please,
Caution or wet floor.
caution. Correct. Caution. Floor is wet. Please walk carefully, like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, does it mean that you will definitely what fall if you go through that way?
No,
Definitely slip.
no, it doesn't mean, but you have to be careful.
There is more chance. There is more chance that you will fall if you do not walk carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or is it certain? Is it also certain that you will never sleep if the floor is not wet?
I'm sorry, can you come again?
Is it certain that you will never sleep if the floor is not wet?
You will never sweep if the floor is
Sleep,
not wet.
sleep. Sleep in a sense you will fall. You'll never fall if the floor is not wet. Is it certain?
No, we can fall, though it's wet or not wet, we can still fall.
You can fall, right? So the chance is less. So Java has intelligently detected that few methods can, throw exception, can arise exception. That's why Java is made compulsory that whenever you're using these methods, you're supposed to handle it. Whether or not you will get into exception. Whether or not you will get into exception, you're supposed to handle it.
Whether or not you get, okay.
There are few methods or there are few classes, the object you create, it will make us compulsory to handle it. Whether or not you will get the exception or not. You may not get exception even though you handle it. Because if everything is right, you'll not get exception. If something is wrong, you'll get exception,
Okay.
right? And this kind of exception are called checked exception, in which in the compilation stage itself, Java will detect that this method can throw exception. That's why you should handle it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And let's go through this one. We'll get more idea in this one. Any question in this one?
No.
Exception hierarchy. At the top you have throwable, then there is exception. Everything here is a class here. Exception, error, With an exception, you have in error means something that you cannot control. For example, if you are in a infinite loop, that means at some point you will run out of resources, run out of space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you do not have a main method in the class, can you be able to execute?
No.
No, that is an error. Okay, an exception is something which you can handle, that we just saw. Null pointer exception, arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception, file not found exception, SQL exception, IO exception, interpreter exception. These are the exceptions. These are not all the exceptions. There are lot many exceptions, but they are the ones that are commonly occurring exception.
Okay.
Okay, points to ponder. What it is exception in many cases caused by our program, and hence they are recoverable. We can handle it.
Okay.
Okay, but in this one, error are mostly caused due to lack of system resources, so they may not be recoverable. They are not recoverable. If error occurs, it has to stop.
Okay.
Okay. Next thing, the exception which are checked by compiler for smooth execution of the program at runtime are called as checked exception. At compile time itself, Java compiler will detect that this method can throw exception in, and if you're not handling it, it will make us compulsory to handle the exception. These are called as checked exception.
Okay.
Okay. Last, whether the exception is checked or unchecked, it is only raised only at runtime. So it is raised only at runtime.
Yeah, okay.
If someone asks you at compile time exception will be raised or not, you can say that Java will sense that this method can throw exception, that's why it will ask us to handle the exception. It will not throw exception at compile time. Only at runtime exception will be raised. Okay,
Okay.
and we saw here how to handle the exception. We can maintain risky code within try block and corresponding handling code inside catch block. Try, risky code, catch block, handling code, and finally. Finally will be used whether an exception is arised or not. Finally block will be executed. For example, if you are starting a database connection and whether or not you are able to fetch the data, we should stop the connection after we're done with that. Okay.
Could you
Yes.
please repeat that?
If you initiate a database connection and you're trying to fetch some data, whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you get the data properly, at the end you should close the connection, or else the
Okay.
other person won't be able to make connection.
Oh, okay.
So these kind of things should be kept in a final block for resource closing.
Okay.
So final block will be executed whether an exception is arised or it's not. It will definitely be executed.
Okay.
Also, we found that length calculator method we kept inside try block, right? We should not keep because within try block, if anywhere an exception is raised, the rest of the try block won't be executed even though we have handled that exception.
Oh, okay.
Clear about that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, within the exception, what are the methods we can use? We can use here string stack trace. It will give the stack trace. Stack trace means the details. b.print stack trace is going to give us here. It is printed because of this one. If I comment this part, it will not print stack trace, even though exception erased. Now it is null here. It will say caught exception and it will just go.
Oh, okay. We didn't print anything. It does. It just catches, but don't print anything.
Because we're not printing anything. Earlier,
Oh,
before we put track edge, it was thrown by JVM because we're not handling it. You're not handling it, JVM will stop the flow abruptly.
oh, okay.
If I enable this one, it will tell us what is the exception. Print stack trace. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, we can handle the exception, or we can delegate the responsibility of exception handling to its caller method. Who is the caller method in M3 in this one for M3? Who is the caller to M3?
Caller to M3 is M2.
M2, because M2 is calling M3. Calling method is M3. Caller method is M2 for this in this case,
Okay.
right? So if we want to not handle it, and that will be there in only in case of checked exception. So let's take an example of checked exception. This is unchecked exception. Okay, I'm just trying to this one, commenting this one. We'll get checked exception while accessing a file, external file. So let's create a file here. Create a external file. I'll create a resources. I create a folder, right? Within resources, I'll kept here. I'll take a notepad. I'll take text file. Right. I'll write facts.txt. Please tell me one fact.
Mm, fact. What do you want me to? Oh, sunrise. Okay.
Or any more? Any other fact? True or not?
True.
Okay. In this bit. Okay. These are the two facts that we found. So we're gonna find it. Okay. So whenever you want to find the file here, so we need to create here file class, file equals to new file. You can give any name here. I just give file here. You can give F. I'm just giving a file. Okay. And within this file, we need to specify the path of the file that we want to access. But the path of the file? Path of the file will be something else. But what we'll do, we'll find this path with respect to the project. What is the project here?
Java project.
Java project. With respect to Java project, uh, we have under Java project we have this one resources, right? Java project resources facts. So we'll find relative path here. It is resources slash facts.txt. Correct?
Okay. So resources is the folder, right?
Folder.
Under.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What's the point? Okay.
But
Next one.
how does it is in it's relevant to this Java project? We were thinking of saying it in reference to the project, right? Like let's think if it's in a different project, can we call it?
You mean you're in a different place? Yeah. Certainly
No,
you can call it.
like there are two projects. It can be there, right? Under the same package explorer, we can have many projects, right?
Right. Right.
I can
In that
call.
case, correct. We need to give absolute path. Get absolute path here. This is absolute path here. D coding workspaces, MRWS, Java project. Like I need to give this path. If I give relative path, I can give resources slash factor.txt.
Okay, so you just right click and just do properties of that file. Okay.
Right click, do properties. In here, you should see resources, resource. Then you should see the path here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you can give relative path. I can give from C drive. I can give from anywhere. I can give that path. But as I'm in the project context here, it will take a project. Then it can take like this. If you give the absolute path, it will take from absolute path.
Okay.
Okay, right. So this is what we tell Java that this is a file. This is a path of the file. What do you have the file? But you're not still reading the file. To read the file, you need to write input stream. Is we can give any name equals to new input stream. It's input stream is the interface. File input stream is a class. That is file input stream. Byte input stream will use file input stream. And within that we'll pass file. java.io.input stream here. Now it is throwing exception, throwing the error. What is the error? If I put mount here, what does it says? Second one.
Unhandled exception type file not found exception.
Correct. Because this, while creating this object here, this in file input stream, the file might not be found. The file that we're looking for, the path may be wrong.
Okay.
Here you're given correct path, the path may be wrong. So like when the sweeper or what do you say, mopper cleans the floor, there is chance that you may fall. So Java will make us compulsory to handle the exception. To handle the exception, you can use try catch, or there is throws also. We'll use try catch here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we'll read the file. We'll say at the end, we'll say file M3 completed. If I run this one, what will be the output? I'll in the catch block, I'll write here invalid path. Okay, and yeah. So if I run this one, what should be the output?
In M1, in M3, M3 completed in M2.
In M1, in M1, in M3, then M3 completed and M2. That's correct. Because there will be no exception.
Right, because there is already 5. Okay.
But if I take facts through factor.txt, what will be the output here this time?
In M1, in M3,
Mm-hmm.
then M3 completed M2 in M2. Invalid path, M3 completed in M2.
Right. Correct. It is telling the description, or it's saying that the system cannot find this file here.
Okay.
Clear? This is checked exception. Now, what I'll do is, there's another way I told you to handle the exception. That is not handling the exception, that is delegating the responsibility of exception handling to its caller method using throws. Here, I can use throws. So the method signature will be added with the throw statement. Add throws declaration. Throws file not found exception. Now it is showing here. See here, M2 is calling M2, M2 is calling M3, right? And M3 is having throws file not found exception. Throws
Okay.
a checked exception. In that case, if I put the mouse here, unhandled exception type file not found. So now it is saying that M2 is supposed to handle this exception here. Okay. So in M2, if we want, you can handle the exception, try catch, or you can delegate this responsibility to M1 because M1 is calling M2.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
propagating the failure, not failure, propagating the exception, handling an exception. Okay. Suppose I use throws here, and in this one I need to handle it. Let me handle this one. Try catch. Now, if I run this one, what will be the output? Please take a look, take a closer look. Try to answer the.
In M1,
Mhm.
M2, it has in M2 it has M3, M3
In M1 then.
in M1, then it goes to M3,
Mhm.
M3 in M3,
Okay,
and then it goes to M3 completed,
correct.
and then it goes back to in M2.
Okay, let's try it. Let's give it a run. That is expected behavior when everything is all right. I'll
Okay.
now make the things wrong. Okay, now tell me the output.
In M1,
Mm-hmm.
in M3,
Okay.
and then there is an exception here.
Mm-hmm.
If there is an exception, M3 will throw an exception.
Correct.
And if M3 throws an exception, then in M2. In M2.
Correct. So now, although we're using exception handling in M2 here, this will not be printed. That means we are not handling in this method. If you're not handling in this method, this will not be printed.
Right.
So that's a problem with throws. In throws, if you do, it is not proper exception handling. It is handling, but M2, M3 doesn't want to handle the exception. Just delegate responsibility to M2. Okay,
Okay.
partial handling it will do.
Okay.
So it should be aware of these throws. You can use throws or try catch. Try catch is to handle it, throws to delegating responsibility.
Okay.
There's another keyword called a throw, which will not use much certainly. If you want to wantedly you want to throw exception, you can use throw keyword.
Oh, okay.
Throw keyword. We can create exception object manually and hand over to the object to JVM Explorer by using throw keyword. Like throw new arithmetic exception, throw new exception. Okay. Now in this case, if you see here, in the catch block we have file not found exception. In this one, I can keep exception also because file not found is child to you see file not found exception, or it is child to IO exception, and that is intended child to
Except.
exception. So if I put parent class reference, that can hold child class object. So if I put exception here, it can hold it or not. This method M3 will create what?
Yes.
File not found exception object. I can either hold in file not found class reference, or I can hold in IO exception object, or I can hold in exception object also.
Okay.
So many times you may see exception catch exception, and this one will throw different exception. It may throw different exception, but this one exception can hold it, just acting as a parent.
Okay. Can I can I see any example like so like
Here itself you can say example.
okay.
See, there was no error here. If I run this one, it will run like as it is. Although I kept here exception E, but it's still saying that file not found exception. Because within E you have file not found. E.print stack trace, it's saying that file not found exception.
Okay. If we comment out that print stack race,
Mm-hmm.
what does we
We
see?
already saw. Will not see this one. Will not see the entire thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay.
As if nothing happened.
Okay.
That is about exception handling here. Right. Okay, we'll move to the next last part of Java here. That is file handling. Okay. Uh, Exception handle it, delegate blah blah blah. In case of Java, it is not required to use throws keyword. In case of checked only, we use throws keyword mostly. Last one, I'll create here file handling. All right, file IO. A little better. IO means input output. First thing I'll read here, I'll create here reading text file. I'll take main method here. Okay, to read the text file, first thing, if I have to read any file, what I have to do? File f equals to new
Mm.
file. New file of the path of the file. What is the path? Relative path, resources, slash facts.txt. Okay, and then we'll use input stream. We'll to just read a text file. We may not require input file. We can use scanner. There are multiple ways to do it. We'll use the scanner to read this one. Use scanner sc equals to new scanner, and this one will give the path of the file because we want to read the scan the file. We can also take input from console using this one scanner. Now we're taking input from the file, because in automation mostly you will do this stuff. You will take input from file. You will not take input or from your own side. Okay, after that it will throw exceptions. Same kind of similar exception will throw file not found exception, right? Now after scanner, that in iterator we saw two methods. What are those?
I'm sorry?
In iterator we learned about two methods, next and has next,
Oh, okay.
right? In collection of iterator I'm talking about. Likewise in scanner also there are two methods, has next line. There are many methods. I'm just saying the two methods which we will be using, has next line and next line. We'll use while sc dot has next line will print the next line. Choose out sc dot next line. So we'll handle this one. If I handle this one, it's giving me an issue because if exception arises, sc won't be initialized. In line number 11, if you see, scanner sc is written. If exception arises, sc won't be initialized. Sc will be null.
Right.
Actually, it will not be null. Only the instance variable will get the default value as null. There is no default value for this local variable. This local variable, because it is declared within the method. Sc is a local variable of class. Sc is a reference of scanner class. It's local. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So it will not be initialized. That's why we are supposed to initialize it to null. And it will be reinitialized to new scanner f. See sunrise in the east, India is great. Yes. Any question on this one, please ask. Please take a look.
Okay. Could you please repeat why we had to put null?
For every local variable, we are supposed to initialize. And if I
Okay.
write scanner sc only, it is not getting initialized. I mean, we need to initialize it before using it.
Okay.
Okay. And suppose here, if exception arises here, will sc be initialized?
No.
No. And you are using sc here. That's why at least you have to initialize it to null.
Okay.
So it's with hey Ram, it's with any local variable, right?
In a local variable, yes. In local variable, it can be int. For int, double and all, you need to initialize 0 or anything you can initialize. But this is class here. That's why you're using null here.
No. If you are using try catch block, so you have to initialize it.
not even trackage. What I'm saying is, I'll comment this here on here. Okay. Int I if I write here. Okay. And I if I write this out, I. Give me error. What's the error? Local variable may not have initialized.
Oh, got it. Okay, so that's a standard. You have to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the Java syntax. Java follows it.
Java
You to
files.
initialize. Okay, Hema?
Yes.
So if I run this one, I'm getting the output here like this. Any question? Any other question in this one?
No.
Okay. Now let's read here properties file. Properties file is a little bit specialized because in this one you'll have the data in terms of key value pair like in map. I'll give any name config dot properties. I'll give this one as fruit equals to orange. Okay, and I'll give your sport equals to, I'll write anything, cricket. So if I look for sport, I should get cricket. If I look for fruit, I should get orange, right?
Okay.
Okay. So in this one, we have to read it in different way. Reading. Excel. No, it's not Excel, it is properties file. First thing, how do I read? If I have to read any file? File. Yeah, tell me, Lima. Hello? You there, Hema?
I was on mute. File F is equal to new file.
Okay. And within that,
Resources. Are we calling that config properties or the facts thing?
config properties, because we want to read the properties file, right? We just create a properties file.
Okay.
The file can be abc.properties, xyz.properties, anything.
Okay.
Here I'll write input string is equals to new file input stream, and I need to pass f here, and then we'll create properties class. In properties class, you will have the key value pair both as string only. And you need to load the input stream to the properties. This one you have to do trackage. Anytime you want to do, you can also do throws here. Here you need to do here equals to null. See, there is a class. Right. Now we specify the location of file is here, and we store the data in the input stream. Yes, and then the data is given to properties. We loaded the data in properties. Now the properties having the data, right?
Yes.
If it is having the data, if I want to get the sport name, what I'll do, I'll print the one. I'll write prop dot get property sport. I should get the output as cricket. I'll give this one then. I'll write fruit. I should get orange. Yeah, please tell me if you have any question on this one.
Hey, hey Ram, quickly,
Hi,
can we have some of these steps for these files or comment section or something like that? So you have to import the package, then you have to create the new file in the sense properties file. Hey, and one more thing, the resources folder, under resources folder, you have the config.properties file, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that a resources folder from the desktop? I mean, in the sense some C drive or any other location, or just you have to create a folder in Eclipse and then load it here?
You can give any path, but as it is under Eclipse directly on the Java project, we can give
Right.
relative path. If it is
Okay.
from a different place, you can give absolute path if you have to give. For
Got it.
example, if I have anywhere, if I have to read this one, okay? Something, I have to read here. So
Right,
let me
right.
get path here.
That's it. Make the path.
I'll keep in the reading text file, where there is text file.
Right.
So I have to come and I'll change it here. Okay, if you're giving this slash, you write double slash like this. If you're giving front slash, only one slash, double slash, likewise slash slash. Oh, sorry. What's the file name? Mail plugin.txt.
So if it is other than resources, that's how we have to do. Okay. You have to
Yeah.
use double slash.
Right, sure. And not only sources, any file if you want to find, if you're using this slash, you have to give this slash 2 times, backward slash, if you're giving front slash 1 time only.
Got it. Okay. So basic steps are like you have to create the file object and then scanner to scan each line.
Right.
And then you have the try catch. In the try catch, you're initializing it. Why we are initiating in the try catch? We can do it in the outside also, right?
But it will throw exception, right? Throw checked exception. That's why you need to handle it, or you can use throws keyword.
Okay, okay, got it. So you're showing the exception and then, okay, so print stack trace. E.print stack trace, what does it do, that method?
If exception arises, it will tell you
Oh,
the stack base where the exception is here. If I
right.
give wrong path here, it will tell me what is the issue.
Okay, okay, got it. And then you have the while loop scan has next line. So you're checking inside that it will grab the first line, has next line.
Like in iterator, it will keep on looking at the next line.
Right,
Means it
you
will
can
check the next line is there or not. If it is there, then go on printing.
okay. Got it. Okay.
Okay. So that's about reading the text file and properties file. In the next session, we'll learn about reading Excel file and we'll do the LLM setup.
Right, and also, did you teach about those, like, any of those methods, like, next line or you have to print anything like next character? We don't have to worry about all that.
Not much. There will be pure Java thing.
Right, right, right.
So that will not be much used in automation. Yeah, if you want specifically, I can cover it, but they won't be used much.
Okay.
As far as I have experience.
Oh, in that there is no videos. The user ID password. Did you check it?
Yeah, only two days session they have sent it.
Okay. So hey, Ram. So once you're done with the class, are you upload? So you upload the videos to any of these particular location?
No, I don't do that. That's done by Vishal or Alok.
Okay. So when you say record, it automatically stored in their location.
Yes, it is being recorded right now.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So tomorrow, would you like to have session or how is it?
Tomorrow is what, Friday, right? Now you want to
No, no.
skip it or you have work?
Yeah. Could we please skip it? Probably by, I mean, I'll be free by this weekend. I would be more happy if we skip it.
So today is 30th for you, right?
Yes.
So what
Today's,
you would do?
Today's 30th.
30th
no,
supposed to be that.
no, yeah. Today's 30th, you're right, Thursday.
Yeah, we can resume on Monday.
You
Monday
mean
4th.
3 days gap?
Yes,
Your Monday is going to be my
Tuesday
Tuesday.
morning.
So we're
Okay, then.
skipping one class, that is Friday.
Okay. Okay, so let's from next time onwards, let's try to keep it regularly because already we're taking 2 days off, right, in a week, and we're taking additional day means we're getting only 4 days of the sessions.
Right, right, right.
Okay, this time okay. Then next time onwards, let's make it regular because already I also had a day off on 28th, year 27 probably. Yeah,
Sure. So so how many classes we have, Ram? So if we continue,
25 in total.
total 25 classes.
Yeah,
Just for Selenium, you're talking about, or including Java?
including Java.
Okay, so Java, we have completed around how many? 5 classes, 6 classes, or 7 classes?
Each session, as I can
8
see.
sessions. Okay, 8 sessions we have completed.
Hmm.
So another 17.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Ram.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.